I used to believe that betrayal made noise, slammed doors, raised voices, the familiar crack of something breaking. But the worst betrayal doesn't sound like anything at all. It comes dressed as politeness, wrapped in a smile. Soft enough that when it cuts, you blame yourself for bleeding. That's exactly what happened the day my sister got married. The invitation was perfect, painfully perfect. Heavy cream cardstock, gold embossed lettering, the kind of thing people post online with captions like, "So honored to be part of this beautiful moment." It announced the marriage of my younger sister, Jessica Blake, to her fiancé Mark Turner. And somehow, even while holding it, I felt a quiet wrongness humming beneath the surface. The confirmation arrived 2 weeks later, in the form of a phone call that I was sitting in my Senate office at the time, not a home office, not a cubicle, a real Senate office with a flag behind my desk and a staff outside my door. The kind of room my family had never once bothered to picture when they asked vaguely about my government job. Mom called with her soft, cautious voice. The one she uses when she's about to ask something selfish and wants to sound gentle doing it. "Emily, sweetheart, we need to discuss the seating arrangements for the wedding." I set down the healthcare proposal I'd been reviewing and leaned back. "What about them?" She hesitated. That was the first red flag. "Well, the ceremony needs to look very traditional. Married couples in the front. Families in the middle. Mark's family expects certain things." I waited. She circled it like a vulture circling something dying. "Jessica thought, and your father agreed, that it might be best to place you behind the columns. Back section. Far left. It keeps everything looking balanced." Balanced, a polite word for hidden, and, "because you're single," she added, like it was an explanation instead of an insult. "You know how it is. Sometimes single people look out of place in photos." Out of place. That I stared at the framed pictures on my wall, me shaking hands with the president, me addressing Congress, me sitting at negotiations that shaped national policy, while my own parents categorized me like a mismatched decoration. "Sure," I finally said. "Whatever makes the pictures perfect." The call ended. But the sting didn't. The day of the WEDNGST. Francis Cathedral was breathtaking, towering stone columns, sunlight pouring through stained glass in ribbons of gold and blue. A place built to make people feel small. That I didn't need the help. That I found my seat exactly where Mom promised, hidden behind a massive stone column. If I leaned forward, I could see half of the aisle. If I leaned back, I saw nothing but cold rock. Great Aunt Mildred sat beside me, squinting. Lord have mercy, I can see more dust than bride from here. "It's fine," I said, checking my phone. My chief of staff had texted me 5 times about the healthcare vote. I silenced the phone, even though every part of me wanted to keep working. Jessica arrived soon after, glowing, floating, perfect. She hugged me lightly. "I'm so happy you made it. Sorry about the scattered seating, we just wanted the couples more visible for the photos. You understand?" I nodded, because nodding is easier than telling the truth. She added, "Mark's dad is running for city council, so appearances matter. There will be important people here." Important people that if only she knew. The security detail arrives around 11:45. Something shifted in the air, a ripple spreading through the pews. A group of men in dark suits entered through the side doors. Earpieces. Badges. Purpose. That I recognized them instantly. Congressional Security. My security detail. Right then, my phone rang. "Senator Blake," my chief of staff said urgently, "the opposition filed a constitutional challenge. Healthcare vote may collapse. We need your input." Of course, because while my family was hiding me behind a pillar, the federal government was treating me like an asset they could not afford to lose. Mom appeared suddenly, breathless. "Emily, there are men with badges asking for you." "Government men." "For me," I said. "Why?" she whispered. Before I could respond, Agent Ramirez approached us. "Senator Blake," he said clearly, "your perimeter check is complete. We'll establish your secure connection whenever you're ready." The word senator hung in the air like a fire alarm. Aunt Mildred froze mid-breath. 3 of Jessica's college friends suddenly sat up straight. Mom looked like her soul had left her body. Then, because the universe has a sense of humor, the Senate Judiciary Committee connected directly to my secure channel, and Senator Rowan's voice blasted through the church speakers. "Senator Blake, we need your constitutional argument now. The Commerce Clause challenge is weak but could gain traction if we stall." Hundreds of heads turned toward me that I stood, not dramatically, just because the signal sucked behind the stone column, but it felt dramatic anyway. Every pair of eyes locked onto me like I'd just announced the second coming. Agent Ramirez handed me a tablet. The church's projection screens lit up with charts and legal text. Jessica turned around at the altar, confusion etched across her perfectly powdered face, and there I was, giving constitutional analysis on federal healthcare authority, while my sister exchanged wedding vows 20 feet away. The silence was absolute. Even Councilman Reed, Mark's father, stood up halfway through, squinting to confirm whether the woman hidden behind the column was the same senator whose policy proposals he'd criticized on local radio. She was. The session ended with a successful motion. The bill moved forward. My arguments had carried the committee that I removed the headset, set the tablet down, turned. Jessica stared at me like she'd never seen me before. You're a senator," she whispered, "for 6 years. And you never told us? You never asked." The shift at the RECEPT on everything changed after that I wasn't seated with the miscellaneous guests. I was placed front and center, flanked by council members, commissioners, donors, and local leaders suddenly eager to connect. Councilman Reed approached me first. "Senator Blake," he said, voice full of respect he hadn't shown earlier, "your work on healthcare reform has been extraordinary." Funny how respect arrives only after revelation. Throughout the night I discussed policy, funding, infrastructure, the kinds of conversations I usually had in Washington, not among relatives who once thought my job was clerical. Jessica eventually approached me, still in her wedding dress, her bravado gone. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "For what?" "For thinking you weren't someone. You thought I wasn't important enough to sit with the family," I replied. She flinched. She understood exactly what I meant. Mom and Dad came next, shame softening their voices. "We would have been so proud," Mom said, "if we'd known." "You should have been proud anyway," I said. "My title shouldn't be the reason." The AFTRMATH months passed. Things changed, slowly. But they changed at why parents ask real questions now. They listen. They care in a way they didn't before, or maybe in a way they never bothered to show. Jessica invites me to speak at events, introduces me proudly as her sister, Senator Emily Blake. But the truth is this: I will never forget that stone column, how cold it felt, how it swallowed me whole. That I don't sit behind pillars anymore, not in churches, not in families, not in life, and if someone tries to put me there again, I'll move my own chair, and they can watch me take my place.